Has there been any other time that you can think of where the older generations sacrificed the young for their safety? We have this story from Timcast.com. Teen facing 2 years in prison for violating COVID rules in Australia. The 19-year-old teen was arrested after visiting a nightclub in South Australia following a positive COVID-19 test. Now, I want to be real with everybody. Kind of a dick move. All right. When we all got COVID here, we said, everybody, if you're not sick, work remotely. We don't want you to get sick. And for the people who are sick, when you're better, like, unlimited sick time. Just do your work, do what you can, hang out, play video games, have a good time, consider it a vacation. I hope you get better. I think anyone eligible for the treatment here ended up getting it. Some people who are sick weren't here and didn't get it. And then I said, before you come back, I want you to feel better and take a test. We'll get you a test. It's I don't know, what are they, $20? We're not going to mandate them forever. We're only asking you to do this because you are sick right now. And if you're still sick until testing positive, just stay home. We're not going to stop paying you. We're like, do your thing. For this teen to know he's sick and be like, I'm going to go out anyway, dick move. But prison for this?
Right.
It feels like there are scared older people who are the most susceptible. And I can respect that they're scared. But let me stop right now. Fukushima, when the reactor went off or broke and melted down and the radiation spewing all over, Luke and I actually went there. We actually went and filmed various stories and mini docs about this. The elderly decided they would go into the reactor to try and stop it and clean it up, knowing it would kill them because they said, we've lived our lives and we must do this for the young. And I'm just like, man, think about that. These are people who are like, I've lived my life. Now I'm going to die to save the next generation. What we have here in Europe and in the United States is the inversion of that. It's older people who are like, I don't want to get sick. Tell them to stay in their cubicles and take away their jobs and their income and their resources and give the money to Walmart. It's remarkable. That is cultural decay to a point where I don't see us surviving.
It's to me, the way that I've perceived this personally is like, say the right wing is pro-gun. And then you had a locust infestation, and there's locusts everywhere. And then the right wing is like, yes! And then everyone has to have a gun now. You have to have a gun, and you have to have a gun, and you have to have a gun, and everyone needs a gun. Shoot the locusts, right? And you're like, you don't really need a gun to shoot the locusts. Like, yes, you do. You're not going to defend us. We'll all die if you don't have a gun. To me, this is the ultimate wish list for people who like to strip rights. It's like the perfect situation. It doesn't mean that a lot of things they say aren't accurate. I think a lot of it is accurate, but it is a perfect wish list. It's the perfect situation. It provides the perfect justification. And so here's my favorite part. The extension of this logic would be like if people that are more self-responsible came along and they said, I've worked to become someone who doesn't get triggered and I'm not sensitive. I'm unoffendable, because you can actually work on that. That's a real thing. You can. I teach this. I do it. You can really, really work to be unoffendable, right? Yeah, you could just, like, I will teach, this will sound crazy, but I'll teach courses where, like, I'll have all my students put me in a circle and just start yelling insults at me. And I just have to sit there and I have to deal with it. And then I'll get them to go in a circle. And then you realize later, like, why do I care about words? This doesn't matter at all. You can easily get out of this. You build your confidence. If you're not so much in your ego, if you view it as a joke, you don't take it so personally, you can actively work on that, right? So what if people who had worked on that were to say, it's illegal for you to be offended? Or let's say somebody who worked on their health said it's illegal for you not to be healthy, which is kind of what they did with the drug war, and I don't believe in that. Or what if somebody who's worked to become wealthy said, if you let yourself go broke, that's illegal because it's going to cause a problem for me? Or what if somebody who's worked on critical thinking and how to look at multiple different arguments or misinformation and learns how to not be affected by that or influenced by that, and then I said, if you're naive, there's a mandate against being naive, right? So what they've done is they've used that kind of logic to create a situation that, frankly, I mean, you're going to have most freedom-oriented people moving to Texas, moving to Florida, moving to Wyoming, right? If you've ever read the second book in the Bible, Exodus, it's beginning to look like Exodus, where people are like, I don't want to be a part of the satanic system. I want to get out of here. I'm moving to where people are free. And Tim, I think you were one of the people who first brought this up, where you said there could be parallel economies. I mean, things could get pretty crazy if they keep doing this.
They're already pretty crazy. And I just wanted to point out, I would use my flamethrower on the locust. I think that's more of a reasonable thing to do. But sorry, Tim, you were saying something.
No, yes, parallel economies. Yeah. So you were already seeing it. There was a news article about Dan Bongino that they were smearing him. He's got one of the biggest podcasts in the world, but he's an investor in, and he utilizes specific technology companies and financial companies that won't ban him, and they're mad about it. The Media Matters guy was like, it used to just be that if there was a right winger, you could just call up your friends at the company and they'd ban them. It's not literally what he said, but you get my point. He's like, now we can't. Okay, that's a problem. It's not a problem that the right has found a new path towards being able to speak and flourish. The problem is that you abused your positions and created this fracture. That's the problem. We don't want this country divided. We want this country united. But when you have ideologues, cultists, and they're doing this, they're abusing people, they're taking away people's livelihoods like Patreon did. I'm surprised people still use Patreon because the risk to your life. I'll tell you this. Patreon banned 2 people without warning, taking away all of their income. This was several years ago, and it led to an exodus. And there are still people I talk to. I'm like there are people I know, people who've had on the show, and they're like, I'm on Patreon. I'm like, why? They will not give you a warning before they take your income away. Get off Patreon. I mean, look. There's issues. We've criticized locals, but locals is still better than Patreon.
Yeah, and this is what they do also in China. If you violate the law, if you jaywalk, they automatically, with facial recognition, take a photo of you and deduct money out of your bank account. In Australia, they're also going after people's bank accounts. As in October, they collected $5.2 million in fines for COVID violations. They seized people's homes. They seized their bank accounts. They took away their business licenses for not following decrees. So I think even with the financial system that we have right now, a lot of people are seeing its weaknesses. A lot of people are seeing how fragile it is. And a lot of people are seeing what kind of a con game it really is. And that parallel kind of economy is already happening. And I think it's happening with crypto. And I think it's pretty evident with a lot of people saying, I trust this random boob coin rather than, of course, the US dollar. And I think that's becoming more prevalent by the day because the US dollar is becoming more of a joke than boob coin. And it's only a matter of time until these parallel economies are conflicted with each other and contradict each other.
I want people to understand something too. YouTube, it's really fascinating. YouTube has one of the lowest. I don't know what the right word is for it. It's not necessarily CPM, but I think it was T.I. who posted this. He said, "Here's how many streams of a song you'll need to get to earn $1 on these platforms." And on YouTube, it was like 1,215 streams to get $1. On Napster, it was like 53. Wow. People need to understand this. There's a lot of people who are on YouTube. We're on YouTube, but we understand, and I've understood this for a long time, YouTube is actually a very low value incentive for podcasts and for businesses. This is why so many people don't care. This is why Joe Rogan only puts clips up on YouTube. He's on Spotify. He knows podcast platforms substantially more valuable. They reach regular people. YouTube reaches, for the most part, people who are in the weeds, who are very politically affiliated. Now, YouTube is extremely valuable. I'm not saying it's not valuable at all. I'm just saying it's one of the least valuable platforms. What YouTube does offer up is free marketing, and they know it. So for us, this is why early in the year we were like, we need to make a website. We need to start doing news. We need to stop relying on mainstream news sources. And that's why we're heavily focused on memberships and not just YouTube.
Oh my God, I think boob coin is an actual real coin.
That's
I'm not here giving you any financial advice. I literally just made up 2 words out of my mind. I'm not here telling you to invest in boob coin. I'm seeing the comments. They're like, boob coin's real. Boob coin's real. You should. This is the. I'm like, no. Not telling you guys what to do here. Don't know anything about boob coin. I literally just made it up. Please.
I need to learn more about.
Be more financially responsible, please.
Amazing.
So here's a couple challenges that I've seen with what you're talking about here. So one of the challenges that I've seen is that as soon as somebody would create an alternate platform, the type of people that most people wouldn't want to be associated with will initially flock there. So that creates an initial branding, right? And then you've got to, and so there's this kind of messed up argument that people don't get, in my view, which is this. Say that I say to you right now, are you pro-crime? Right? You're going to answer, no, I'm not pro-crime.
Well, actually.
Yeah, okay. So
look, to be completely honest, if you were in like if it was a political debate between left and right, and a right-wing person was like, are you pro-crime? They would be like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, there would be no straight answer.
Got it. Okay. So let's say that hypothetically you're saying, no, I'm not pro-crime. So say that I say to you, okay, well, if you're not pro-crime, then what I'm going to do is on every single street corner, I'm going to put somebody there who's going to frisk you. Every single street corner that you go to, there's going to be somebody there, and they're going to start, they're going to go in who knows what place to frisk you, right?
Full body cavity search.
Yes, full body cavity search. And by the way, if you don't want the full body cavity search, you are pro-crime. and then you say, I'm not pro-crime. I just don't want the full body cavity search. And they say, what are you going to say to that person who had a crime conflicted against them? Because you would not allow the full body cavity search. Is you not wanting to have your cavity search at each corner worth it for what happened to little Jimmy
That's
over
what
here?
they're doing.
What are you going to say to little Jimmy who was affected if they would have allowed full body cavity?
Do you support Antifa?
No.
So you're pro-fascist. That's literally what they do.
Yeah.
And you're like, no.
Yeah.
But Antifa literally killed people.
But
they're rioting.
So the
not
media works
individuals.
on optics. It works on clickbait.
Well, actually,
right?
individuals. Yes.
Yeah. So if you're trying to be pro full body cavity search on every single corner, all that you need to do is find 5 or 10 really really horrific crimes and say, look what happened to little Jimmy. And little Jimmy's like, I just want the cavity search. And it's like, do you care about little Jimmy? Right. And they can keep doing that again and again. But it doesn't mean that you're pro-crime. It just means that the cure is worse than the disease.
We got it. Man, we need to get. I was talking to Seamus from Freedom Tunes about like comedy writing and doing some bits, and that would be a really great bit where it's like an infomercial. Like last year, little Jimmy was attacked on the street because there were no body cavity searches on street corners. Just like really extreme security state stuff. And then you get like a crying kid and it plays like Sarah McLachlan or whatever.
So if you're a business, and this is I think one of the challenges with, the typical American individualism, right? Where in America we say, you kind of handle your own, back in the day we would have said, you handle your thing, I'll handle my thing. So what you have is that you have on one side you have collectivism, on the other side you have individualism, right? So if you're running a business and then you see if you see that another business was impacted by this whole little Jimmy phenomenon, you could say, hey, that's BS. I don't support that. This guy is not pro-crime. He just doesn't want body cavity searches. But if you're running your business, you just kind of keep your head down and you don't say anything. So in collectivism, they'll all stick up for each other. But in individualism, there's less of that. So as a result, they will stick up for each other very, very quickly. Individualists won't.
Even when, depending on your source, it's like 26 to 36 dead in the George Floyd riots. They will unashamed, they will bail these people out. They have their allies in positions of power will support it without question. And then you look at the Republicans. The Republicans are like, one of our members of Congress said a naughty word, so we've stripped him of all committee and booted him from the party. And then Ilhan Omar is like, I'm just going to keep talking. And the Democrats are like, we literally will do nothing. We will literally do nothing. And then the funny thing is, because these people don't read the news, the Democrats just claim it's actually the Republicans doing it, and they believe it. And there you go. Antifa can go around smashing windows, beating minorities, screaming racial slurs in Portland, which I've personally witnessed and has been reported numerous times, and the left will defend them tooth and nail.
They literally have people getting on their knees for them in support. There's a lot of other psychology stuff that
posted
you were
this video.
talking about. That got my attention.
Let me play the video. It's an old video. I've posted it before. I posted it again. The more followers I get, the more I want to keep playing this video. Here you go. Is there audio for this?
Racism, anti-blackness, or violence. I will use my voice in the most uplifting way possible.
Let me explain for those that are not watching and can only hear.
It's all white
thousands of people sitting down with their hands in the air as the preacher of social justice makes a statement and everyone just like drones. I will use my voice. This is a cult. Now, if you want to complain about Trump supporters all worshiping the Trump and the ground he walks on, yes, but that's the exception, not the rule. That is few and far between. There are people who are like that, but that's not the majority of people who are libertarian, moderate, or even voted for Trump. A lot of people who voted for Trump don't like the guy, but they hate the establishment and they don't want to be in your cult.
So what happens when you don't feel safe within yourself is that your mind will not allow you to think beyond which opinions allow you to feel more safe. So, for example, like one of the reasons why things like Christianity or religion are actually very powerful is that if you believe that you have a life beyond the body, that allows you to open your mind to a range of different thoughts because you're not as afraid of getting killed. You feel like there's something beyond this, right? But even just basic level confidence allows you to think beyond what you're just supposed to pipe back. So this concept of, say, some people call it virtue signaling, is this idea that, for some people, if they don't feel safe, their mind is not scanning saying, is this accurate? Can I find statistics on this? Can I even question those statistics? Can I look at multiple sources? Their mind is going to, what will get me props when I say this? And so I think to improve this problem of people that will say, just do whatever gets them props in the crowd. You can remember back to being back in grade school, some of the trends that were popular and how the kids would just try to jump in the, like, I'm cool now, right? Is this cool? Is that cool? And kids would even beat up other friends, like, because they weren't popular anymore, things like that. And the cool thing about being an adult was when you finally get away from that, you're like, I don't have to be cool in high school anymore. I could just say what I really think. But now society's evolving to where it's bringing it back to that, where you have to be hyper aware of what the hive mind is thinking. And if you say something outside of that, it can cost you your career, it can cost you your life. I mean, it's totally crazy. So I think that
I had a moment like this in Berkeley during the riots in like 2018, where I had a GoPro and a gimbal, so I'm walking around with this little thing, and I'm filming what's going on. There's police. And I'm talking to someone when all of a sudden this woman starts talking to me, starts arguing, not like a fierce argument, but she hears what I'm saying, she hears what I'm talking about, and then immediately says, starts to interject. So I turn to this woman on a public street, and she's talking, so I ask her questions. There was a woman who was attacked by Antifa and left bloody. Why? Well, she was wearing something that was conservative. And so this woman told me, well, maybe she shouldn't wear that in an area where she knows someone might get mad about it. And I said, so you think it's her fault for wearing the wrong clothes and that, she should have worn something different. She wouldn't have gotten attacked. And she goes, yes. And I was like, so you think it was the victim's fault? She's like, yeah. And then I was like, okay, well, thank you for your time. Then after about a minute, she runs back over to me. She goes, no, don't use any of that. Don't use any of that. And I was like, you walked up to me and started talking. And she's like, you're not allowed to use that footage. I feel the reason she did that was because she had real opinions that a lot of people have. Like, yo, if you stuff your wallet, if you go to an ATM and pull out $1,000 and then walk in a dark alley whistling about how you got money and you get robbed, people are going to be like, why were you doing that? It's a bummer you got robbed. The burglars, the robbers are the criminals, but that was kind of dumb. Regular people would say that. But the modern left is like, don't blame the victim when it happened. Well, this woman genuinely felt there is some responsibility to be safe and to understand what you're getting yourself into. But when she realized it went against the mob and the cult, then she was like, delete it, don't use it. I blurred her face because I don't think she matters as a public figure. I put the video up. I blurred her face because I thought what the person was saying and the ideology of the person was more important. And I don't want to cause any conflict for the individual. But people needed to hear all of that, including her attempts to recant and say, no, I don't like that. They're scared of the mob. They're scared of their own political ideology. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.